A Doll, a Fool, and an Exit Door by TheNarwhalGal, read by My Lost and Found and Dr. Oryx. Summary. Pomni and Ragatha have a much-needed discussion after the day's events. Sometimes the best you can do is try to be happy. This fic is about 6,500 words and 3 chapters. This fic is a multivoice PODFIC. Ragatha, Zubul, Kinger, and Kane, voiced by My Lost and Found.
Pomni, Jackson, Gangle, read by Dr. Oryx.
As always, link to the fic is in the description. And on with the story. Chapter 1. A Doll. Even after all this time, eating still felt weird. She had instinctive feelings of what eating should feel like, and it just didn't feel like that. Ragatha tasted the food. She ate the food. She swallowed the food. But it didn't change anything. It never satiated her, because there was nothing to satiate. There was no hunger to fix, no problem to solve. It was a mindless task, a form of stimulation lacking in its humanity. Perhaps it was fitting, then, that she had become a doll herself. After all, what was she here but a doll anyway? It was hard not to think back to her first day here. Pomni took it worse than anyone else she'd seen, including herself. But the immediate reminder of what she'd lost never really sat right with her. Stay positive. That's what's important. Don't think about the bad things and the things that you wish were different. She'd sooner drive herself crazy than solve anything at all. Maybe that's why Ragatha couldn't stop her worry for Pomni. She hadn't lost her drive yet. She hadn't lost any of the determination that could leave yet. That was dangerous. The reminder of what happened to Kaufmo today sat sickly in the stuffing where her stomach should be. The other reason was even simpler. Pomni hadn't moved for what felt like the entire dinner. And no, she hadn't been watching her that entire time, but Pomni hadn't reacted to anybody else, staring off into a void nobody else could see every time Ragatha glanced over. Nobody else had paid her any mind either. Not even Kane, which perhaps was the most surprising event here. He couldn't keep his hands off her all day. Kinger had been talking with her, but she had literally no idea what he was talking about. It faded in and out of her head with the leftover pain of the day.
And they hadn't even had to experience a game show inside of there. What luck!
Ragatha gave a polite smile, still staring at Pomni. She didn't notice the smile forming on the other girl's face until Pomni started laughing, grabbing her head in her hands with the sound that soon overtook the table. Loud and crazed laughter that seemed to go on for almost a full minute. Jax cut in before she could, as Pomni's giggles slowly died down.
Huh, that's gotta be a new record. Has anyone been keeping time?
Gangle whimpered. Having glanced at the rabbit, Zubul instead chose to focus in on their food with a muttered, "God, you're such an Jax."
I hope she's okay.
Gangle leaned farther in front of Pomni, who didn't seem to notice. Kinger startled at the movement, yelping,
"Ah, you startled me."
Jack seemed to roll his eyes, appearing in between Gangle and the chess piece.
Seriously though, thought Kinga would have had a lock on that category, but one day...
He almost teleported back to his original position, slapping her lightly on the face.
And you're already making waves. Oh, what? What do you mean?
Ragatha could have breathed a sigh of relief in that moment, putting her head in her hands with a sigh. "Oh, good. You haven't said a word since I got here. New stuff?" Completely ignoring her interjection, Jax continued unperturbed.
Oh, just that you're the first one I've seen show up here already insane. That head start was a good game plan. Really selling it, too.
Pomni broke out into more soft and nervous laughter, obviously incredibly uncomfortable. Although Ragatha hadn't seen her look comfortable, ever, really. So that wasn't saying much.
I haven't lost it. It's, I just really helping your case here, Buggy Eyes.
It looked like Kinger was going to say something, but Ragatha managed to get in before him. Jax, leave her alone. It's been enough of a rough day. Jax laughed.
Yeah, it has been a rough day, hasn't it? You should have seen the glowing monster doll face. Now that was disgusting.
Zubul leaned over the table and stared her down from the other side. You weren't there either, now that I think about it. But didn't you crawl all the way here alone? She changed her focus. Where were you anyway, Pomni, while we were dealing with your adventure?
Breaking Kaufmo's record. Keep up, Picasso.
Zubul pinched her eyes downward.
Speaking of, can we have confirmation on that from anybody?
That's a wonderful idea, Jax. Kane popped in as if summoned by the discussion. Jax made a face at her. She glowered in return. Pomni's current game time is 4 hours. Pomni choked on her own laughter.
4 hours? It's only been 4 hours?
Yes, dear. Now, if you quit interrupting. Jack seemed to lean in closer.
That means you're gonna wake up soon, right, Pomni? Or, ooh, what if you're actually in a coma?
She seemed checked out already, glancing sidelong at Jax without any response beyond that. Zubul stood up, scraping their chair a little louder than Ragatha thought was necessary. But then again, it shut Jax up, so perhaps not. They muttered a quick, "Don't bother me," before marching off down the hall.
Oh, there goes Zubul.
Zubul's okay? Thank God.
Probably not.
Gangle whined.
I'm gonna go check on them.
She excused herself from the feast. Kinger followed her lead, not too soon after. But Ragatha wasn't really paying attention to them, standing up and making her way over to the new girl instead. The day had been a frankly terrible introduction, and she could certainly understand Pomni's resistance at, well, everything probably. But Ragatha just had to make her understand. She had to make them. She couldn't lose another friend, another person to this nauseatingly wretched, bright and colorful place. Kane, probably annoyed at the constant interruption, and maybe realizing he was not needed nor particularly wanted in this moment, and would probably make it worse, in a rare show of self-awareness, made himself scarce with a flippant excuse of making sure the Gloink Queen wasn't dying horribly or something. It was just as well. He wasn't very good at empathetic and emotional needs for humans. Jax, for all his barbs, at least picked up on when the moment wasn't right to poke fun. He had his good spots like that. Neither of them wanted anyone else to abstract. They could at least both agree on that. Hey, Pom-Pom, what's so funny anyway? Where did you go? Ragatha had placed her hand over Pomni's shoulder, intent on comforting her, but hesitated. The girl hadn't seemed to notice either person yet. She sat down on the other side of Pomni. Jack slightly slapped her face for the second time that dinner.
Huh? Oh.
She tugged at the cuffs of her shorts. Pomni nervously giggled, looking between them both with a frown and an anxious glance.
I'm not actually sure.
Ragatha did end up placing her hand on Pomni's shoulder, only to take her entire weight as Pomni all but collapsed into her. She grunted in the unexpected movement, quickly trying to turn the mood around. You just gotta stay positive. That's the only way to survive. The important thing is that we're all okay. Physically, but all of us freaked out a bit our first couple days here.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm doing great right now, but what do you mean you're not sure?
Jax glanced off to the side and back.
What's that? What's the unsure part of that?
Pomni shrunk into herself even more, hands fidgeting with themselves and eyes burning a hole into the untouched plate of digital food. Ragatha gave Jax a look, and by some divine miracle, he actually managed to take a hint as well, giving a dramatic sigh.
Not that I care, anyway.
He rolled his eyes again.
Call me when your suffering is funny again.
And with that, he left the table too. Ragatha put her arms fully around the girl, who seemed to be shaking at this point, emotions forcibly pulled out of her once they were alone, laughing and sobbing into the fabric of her body. "Sorry about Jax. He means well, most of the time," she corrected herself. "Some of the time. He's just trying to stay sane as the rest of us." Pomni only sobbed harder. Ragatha was almost glad, based on the day. Pomni probably hadn't had a moment to actually just cry. She still didn't like seeing her new friend sad. Being sad was usually a bad sign. "Which is, it'll be all right, new stuff. Why don't we try and make a list of all the good things that happened today?" Pomni sniffed into her shirt.
Good things? What good things?
She looked up, pupils wide and shining.
There's no good things here. This is...
She laughed a bit, choking on tears.
This is where I'm... Oh my god. This is where I'm going to spend the rest of my life now, isn't it?
Yep. Ragatha gave a shaky smile back. "So, good things." Pomni's shaky exhale seemed a quick fall into more hyperventilation, something she seemed prone to doing. Ragatha changed course. How about I start?" Pomni frowned.
Alright.
Her eyes glanced in multiple directions, finally settling back on Ragatha. "I met you today. That's definitely good thing number one."
Really?
She smiled fully, glad to be making any kind of impact. "Of course. And both of us are okay. That's definitely good thing number two. And this feast..." Pomni emerged a bit from the cocoon she'd made herself out of Ragatha's dress.
Is it good?
Ragatha made a confused face.
The food.
She chuckled. "Filled with all the love we're legally allowed to be given." Pomni's soft laughter was starting to sound less manic or nervous in nature, which was probably a good sign.
It doesn't look right. Eating it feels like I'm giving up somehow.
Maybe. I wouldn't know. If food was supposed to look like something else, I've forgotten it. It tastes good, and it's a good distraction. A reminder that I'm alive in some sense of the word. Ragatha found herself staring listlessly at the wall for a moment. Pomni didn't say anything. They just sat there for a moment, not quite happy, but not quite sad either. She only glanced back into reality when she heard Pomni speaking again, looking down at her.
Ragatha?
She hummed in response.
I'm sorry for earlier.
Pomni sat up. Ragatha didn't know whether to be glad she was doing better now, or sad from the weight she weirdly, dearly missed.
For leaving you.
She took a breath, putting on another grin. "Hey, I meant it when I said it was A-OK. You were going through a lot, and you led the monster away after all. You even came back to help."
No. I mean after that.
Pomni glanced away guiltily, holding her arm in her other hand. "After?" Pomni shuffled a bit in her chair.
I didn't. The exit door is right there, and my hand was glitching, and I thought I could escape. I almost left you alone, and this is all real.
She sighed, eyes starting to shine again as her pupils got all scratchy.
You got really hurt, and I left you completely alone.
Ragatha frowned, seeing the moment Pomni noticed her expression as her pupils shrunk and she stared at something in the distance Ragatha could not see. You... the exit door?
I'm so sorry.
She collapsed back into Ragatha.
I asked to help, and I left you at the first chance. I don't...
Ragatha felt more awkward than before, returning the hug this time. The exit door was... You walk through the door? Pomni mumbled softer.
Yeah, but it wasn't real after all. Just another one of Kane's tricks. An endless hallway of offices and photos of more offices and an exit to the void. I spent so long just running and running for the doors, but I never seen the end. It wasn't real after all. Wasn't that a good trick? I left you to suffer endlessly for nothing. Nothing at all.
Yeah. Ragatha was starting to see what messed the poor girl up so bad. Well, more than the whole being permanently stuck in virtual reality until you slowly go insane and all the bad things happen, at least. Well, I forgive you, new stuff.
You do?
She gave a mostly genuine smile. Of course. It's been a rough day for everybody. Anger wasn't worth it here. Hidden feelings and resentment and all the rest. It just made everything worse, everything harder. Jax made that difficult, but she could handle it. Ragatha thought back to her first day and the choices she would have made. In that lens, Pomni's actions made a lot more sense. It hurt, sure, but Pomni had just met her. Maybe she was being too forgiving. Maybe she should have said something. Looking into Pomni's big eyes, however, only one thing came to mind. We should sleep.
I'm not tired.
She gave a soft smile, standing up and taking Pomni away from the table with her. And you won't be. Trust me. You should sleep anyway. It'll help. I promise.
Wait.
She felt Pomni return the grip she had with her own hand. Ragatha paused, looking back at the incredibly short girl.
Can I stay with you tonight? I don't think I could sleep. I don't want to be alone with my thoughts right now. I need distraction from all of this.
She grinned, starting to walk towards her room once more, not letting go of her hand, squeezing it in recognition of the question. Absolutely, Pomni. We'll make a slumber party out of it. Pomni squeezed her hand back, running to keep up.
Thank you. Really.
Her voice was still wavering. If Ragatha looked back at her, she had the sneaking suspicion her eyes would be wide as dinner plates. She gave one last affirmation for the future, hoping to ease any more worries Pomni had. It'll all be okay. I promise. There was no response, but that was okay. Ragatha would keep saying it to herself until she believed it. Chapter 2. A Fool. Summary. Pomni and Ragatha talk more after the feast.
What? Hello?
She was breathing heavily, unsure where she was or how she got here. Another voice crowded her ears almost immediately. Whoa, hey, take a breath. That sounded like... It was kind, far too upbeat to the point of denial. It was Ragatha. Right, it was Ragatha. She was in Ragatha's room.
How?
Ragatha took a step in front of her. She was sitting on a rather surprisingly comfortable bed. Ragatha still had to kneel to meet her eyes. Why was she so short? Had she always been this short? Why couldn't she remember? Oh God, why couldn't she? Can you breathe with me, Pomni? Anything left of the real world was... She could feel it slipping through her fingers, like grains of sand slowly falling into boiling shards of glass, only a mirror of what she had left to her name. A name that wasn't even her own anymore. She was forgetting Pomni! Pomni! I'm gonna breathe in. Can you breathe with me? She felt her hand get grabbed, held in soft fabric. The weirdest feeling of gloves. Her gloves, which felt like skin. Why did they feel like skin? Ragatha squeezed her hand, and she tuned a little bit more into the world. Pomni took a deep breath, and then another. That's good. That's good. Ragatha's words made contact in her head. In and out. We can't lose you this early, new stuff. Pomni kept breathing for a moment, letting the dread fester beneath her conscious mind.
Thanks, Ragatha.
She gave a soft smile. Don't mention it. We're in this together now. Don't forget that. She felt herself distantly nod.
Hey, Ragatha?
What is it, Pomni?
Do you,
Pomni took another calm breath, her voice only a little bit hysterical.
how much of yourself before all of this, do you remember?
Ragatha backed up a little bit from her, expression one of confusion. Pomni felt the sudden need to apologize, as if responding to the unspoken words. Ragatha cut her off before she could do so. I don't... It's best not to dwell on such things. What matters is the now, the current, keeping our current minds healthy and...
Stimulated, yes, but it just...
Ragatha cut her off again, intent on remaining positive. Pomni, I'm not really sure what you want.
But I do!
She felt herself shout as if uncontrollably.
I could feel it all slipping away, as if this was real and everything else was a dream. My whole life just gone.
She felt the tears of earlier coming back now, her eyes burning with the grief of her memories.
I want to know how much of it I'll keep. I want to know what I'll get to keep, Ragatha. When I try to think of anything, it crawls away, too fuzzy to reminisce, as if the very act of trying to grab them makes them fizzle out into nothingness.
She was sobbing for the second time in just as many hours. Probably she didn't really know if... time. It's only been... No, stop it.
I want to know. I want to know what will be left.
Ragatha was silent for a moment, eyes trained on something very far away, something distant. She spoke softly and in a disconnected manner. Very little. The feeling of sun on your skin. The warmth of a hug from a real person. A living person. The shapes of people who you must have known. Their outlines left imprinted in your brain. She snapped back, a moment of heavy breathing. But it's okay. I'm fine. We make new memories. Forever. And ever. And ever. Ragatha snapped back from her depressive mood, looking up at Pomni. Oh dear. I'm sorry. It's not nearly as bad as I made it out to be. I promise. Enough about that. Why dwell on the past? It'll never help with the future. Ragatha stood up, squeezing her hand again and pushing away the existential dread in favor of focus on the physical... digital?
Oh my god, this is it. This is really it.
Ragatha dragged Pomni off the bed, further increasing how much she had to look up to meet her gaze. All she could remember was knowing that hadn't always been the case, that she had been a relatively normal height, but she couldn't remember anything to support that. All she was left with was the imprint of a shadow that no longer existed on a cave wall left by an object that must have existed at some point to have caused it. Her mind was an amalgamation full of only memories by 3 degrees of association. The feeling of sun on her skin, the warmth of a hug, the outlines of people she must have known. She felt herself starting to laugh again. Ragatha looked over with concern. "Pomni, please, you need to put it out of your mind." She just laughed more, finding humor in the insanity of everything around her, and of everything she couldn't believe in anymore. Laughing louder and louder, as if in any way it might give her any semblance of the ability to be okay with it all. Removing herself from the immediacy of her situation by laughing at it. What was funny couldn't hurt her. "Pomni, you need to take a breath." Ragatha's concern only made her laugh more. She couldn't even say why. Why was it so funny? Everything was terrible. It was all so awful. Why couldn't she stop laughing? She felt herself collapse in pain as her lungs screamed for air. It didn't need a human reaction, and yet so unbelievably fake. It just made her laugh more. She heard Ragatha's door open.
Keep it down, will you? Some people are trying to sleep, you know.
That was Jax, wasn't it?
Oh. Pomni.
Ragatha turned as Pomni's giggles died down at last, leaving her winded and on the ground, looking up at the two even more than usual. "Jax, get out of my room! How did you even—" Jax held up a key with a shit-eating grin. "Of course. Give that to me." She raced over to the door, Jax vanishing in a cloud of smoke, only to appear behind her on the inside of the room, having dropped around her hands as she strangled the air he'd left behind.
You're gonna have to try a little harder than that, dollface. Good effort, though.
She growled through her words, turning away from the door.
Jax, this is my room.
He nodded.
And in the interest of making sure everyone is even slightly awake for tomorrow's fun adventure, I thought I'd let myself in. You're doing a terrible job with a new kid, by the way.
She groaned from her place on the ground.
I'm 25. Could fool me, Pom-Pom.
His aloofness at everything was surprisingly the thing she found the least humorous about the whole situation.
Anyway, could you keep it down? I'm all for laughter, but some of us don't like to fall asleep to the sound of crazed middle schoolers who just found out what the word means.
Ragatha stomped towards him.
Jax, can't you be helpful for once in your life? She's already on the edge. I know you don't want.
Is that what she was? Was she already that close to breaking? He gave another equally annoying smile, looking off to the side before walking a little closer to meet Ragatha in the middle, cutting her off.
Nah. Sounds fun, though. Maybe later. Besides, I've never seen her so happy. Just look at her.
Both turned back to Pomni at Jax's movement. She had her head in her hands by this point. Well, it wasn't really her head, was it? Or her hands. The thought made her despair, but the depression quickly defaulted to more soft laughter, as she once again did anything she could to stop spiraling.
See? Happy.
I'll handle it, Jax. She spoke through what sounded like gritted teeth. But she didn't have teeth. The idea made Pomni giggle to herself even more. Ragatha looked back at her, increasingly more concerned. Jax tilted his head, looking at Pomni with a small grimace, before defaulting back to the distant grin he usually wore.
Okay.
He shrugged, backing out of the room.
Have fun with that.
He stuck his hands in his pockets.
Don't say I didn't tell you so, though.
Ragatha started making her way over.
Ugh, he's such a jerk sometimes.
Hey, one more thing.
Jax peeked his head around the door corner. Ragatha stomped as she turned around.
Jax, I swear to...
He gave a sweet smile.
If you find the centipede, do let me know. King is getting antsy.
Ah!
She put her hands on her head, running angrily at the door.
Jax, you better not have...
He slammed the door in her face with a little wave.
Actually, left
Ragatha turned back around towards Pomni, who by this point had forgone laying on the floor, laughing, to sitting cross-legged at the foot of Ragatha's bed.
It's fine. It'll be fine. He's not that much of a jerk. I hope.
Pomni gave a shaky smile.
Yeah, totally. Are you okay?
You're asking me that.
It was Ragatha's turn to give her own soft smile in return, making her way back over and sitting down across from her.
I just watched you lose your mind slowly.
She played with her hands, looking down at the floor.
Nope, I'm all here, still. Marbles all in my brain.
Ragatha took one of her hands into her own again. It was nice.
Pomni, I mean it. I know you're new and all, but this is all we have now, you know? We've got to stay together.
She felt herself nod.
I mean it. We can't lose anybody else. Kaufmo, his mental state, it fell so quickly. He was gone before anyone realized what was happening. He started drawing away from all of us, for any number of reasons. And once he was alone, once he was isolated in his madness, there was nothing we could have done. He was gone before we could help him.
Pomni glanced up, looking back at Ragatha, at her distant and surprisingly somber look. They caught each other's eyes again.
So you gotta stay with us. You gotta say something if you feel yourself slipping. We're all we have in this place. We can make a new life here. I promise it isn't all terrible. It doesn't have to be all terrible.
Pomni leaned in a little closer to the rag doll.
I'm sorry for scaring you. I didn't mean to. I just, the absurdity of it all, it just caught up to me. That's all.
Ragatha scooted closer.
You're A-okay. Sometimes all we can do is laugh. You just really like laughing, apparently. Maybe it's a jester thing.
Ragatha talked herself into another lull, not realizing the crisis she just caused in Pomni.
It's a...
She looked down at her hands again, looking back up.
It's a jester thing? What do you mean it's...
As if realizing the effects her words would and had just had, Ragatha leaned closer with both hands up, letting go of Pomni's.
Nothing at all. Don't worry about it.
Pomni felt her eyes twitch.
Ragatha, what do you mean it's a jester thing?
She laughed a little nervously to herself.
Nothing. We're not entirely sure how much your new personality is shaped by your avatar as opposed to the other way around. That's all. But it's not a big deal.
Not a big deal?
She giggled a bit, gasping at her own laughter, leading her farther into another panic attack.
Not a big deal?
Pomni grabbed the girl's shoulders, eyes wide.
I thought, how much of me is still me? Ragatha, it doesn't, I thought my mind would be safe. My personality should be safe. Kane said.
She could feel Ragatha start to panic under her hands.
And it is. It is. Anything changed is probably surface level. A little more crying, laughter, comedic intent. It should be.
How would I know, Ragatha?
She was breathing even heavier than before.
How would I?
She felt Ragatha crash into her, arms finding purchase as they wrapped around her in an attempt to comfort her. Pomni felt herself starting to cry again. She was always just 2 steps away from bawling now, wasn't she? Had she always been like that? Would she ever know again?
Oh my god.
It's going to be okay. I promise it's going to be okay.
Ragatha was talking into where her ear should have been, where she felt it must have been, but couldn't remember it being. The warmth of a hug she'd never remember, replaced with the warmth of a hug she could.
You're still you. You'll always be you. I'm your friend, whoever you are.
Her breathing slowly calmed down again.
I'm sorry. I just need a moment.
I know.
Pomni didn't keep track of how long they sat there, in each other's arms. How long she spent crying into Ragatha's shoulder, an activity she seemed awfully prone to as of late. It was a long time, however. She knew it had been a long time. It only broke when she felt a weird sensation on one of her own arms, pulling away and bringing her arm in front of her eyes. Oh, that was a centipede.
How? Pomni? What? Holy!
She heard Ragatha scream, falling backwards and fainting as the centipede crawled slowly down her arm. Footsteps raced down the hall as Pomni watched the door handle quickly turn as the lock was undone once more. Jax all but ran into the room, taking in the scene slowly, eyes glancing over the passed-out Ragatha and the slightly out-of-place Pomni with the centipede on her arm, before making her way calmly over while whistling and taking the centipede gently into his hands.
Man, I'm so disappointed I missed that.
Chapter 3. An Exit Door. It started with an exit door, and then 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 it started with an exit door. That's all it was. A door that didn't fit. A simple red door with an exit sign on it. But it wasn't really an exit, was it? There was no exit behind the door. The door was a door to exit doors, not an exit. Doors and exits and doors and exits and doors and exits, until both words lose all meaning. Nothing more than pixels on a large canvas, losing individuality in the melding of a larger idea. And that one thought kept coming back to Pomni, because she was never getting out of here, was she? An unobtainable goal is what Ragatha had said. That had been so long ago, she could barely remember. It was doors, office spaces, photos of hallways and hallways of hallways with hallways for hallways, every hallway. Another door, another hallway, another door, another hallway. It was enough to make anyone go mad. And Pomni wasn't just anyone. She's trapped herself in the desire for an exit, chasing a goal that did not exist. Creation itself was mocking her hubris. And then it started with an exit door. What could she do but keep going? Where else could she go? To turn around would be to admit defeat, to admit fealty to an abomination of life. To keep going was to accept madness in search of a way out. She must already be mad, to have dreamed such a personal... She must have been mad. What was madness but an eternity of being stuck just inside a nightmare, always so close to leaving, and yet never really any closer than before? The thought was horrifying. Her reaction was to laugh. And the doors kept going. The exits kept going. She kept going. How long could she keep this up? Pomni wondered. How long until she fell to personal madness or to the submission of insanity? How long until something happened? Something had to happen. It had to. It simply had to. Because if nothing happened, that meant this was it. This was life now. This was all she knew, all she could ever know. This was her boulder, to be pushed into the endless void forever, with no end in sight and no goal to reach. No rewards, no contentments, no happiness. Just pain without end. Pain without death. Please, God, something, anything at all, anything. And then it started with an exit door. And nothing happened. Nothing happened at all. She wished for something, but nothing came. Pomni began to miss the circus. And what a horrible and terrifying thought that was. To miss the torture that was the digital circus. To miss her own personal... But it wasn't anymore, was it? This was her madness. This was her grief. The circle was a vessel of interest in a world of insanity. The last pane of glass before an endless void of emptiness, an uncaring abyss of nothing, not even a door to open. But Pomni soldiered on. She had to. There was no way back. She couldn't turn around anymore. Her only choice was forward. To walk back was to admit that she wasn't strong enough to push through the insanity. To walk back was insanity. Such a fickle thing, the mind. So easy to break. Another door, another exit, another hallway, another office, another door, another exit, another hallway, another office, another... The end is never the end, is never the... Pomni was stuck in an eternity of leaving. The ultimate defense of a cage of eternity was a defense of equal length. How could anybody leave in these conditions? No wonder Kaufmo had gone mad. Was she mad? Was this what abstraction felt like? She was back in the circus, hurting the only friend she remembered. Had she become unstable the moment she tried to enter the exit? It was a question of contradictions to enter the exit. She must have been mad. And then it started with an exit door. This was her life now. This was everything she'd ever known and everything she would ever know. It was beautiful and horrifying. It was life and it was death. It was an exit and an entrance. It was the rest of her infinite life. It was the circus again, but without the bells and whistles. It was the circus undisguised. It was the circus, but lonely. And it started with an exit door. And there it was again, the computer. It tickled a spot in her brain that she knew didn't exist anymore. The memory of a shadow of an object that once existed, but no longer could. Was this true madness? To remember that which didn't exist? She couldn't help but stare. Why did she feel the need to stare? She knew that computer. She knew that computer. She knew it. The headset next to it. She knew that too. It was right there. How did she know it? How did she know that? Why did it upset her so much? Pomni could feel it grasping at the edges of her brain, pulling at her replacement of a name and a body, memories at the other edge of a floodgate she didn't know the code to, unsure if it existed at all. She could grasp it, as simple as the handle of a door. All she needed to do was turn the... Pomni woke with a gasp, breathing heavily as her pupils fuzzled out into scribbles. Ragatha woke beside her.
Huh? Pomni?
She turned her head, unspeaking, unsure if she was truly her anymore.
Are you all right?
Pomni still didn't respond. What could she say? What would do it justice?
Bad dream?
Pomni nodded.
Do you want to talk about it?
She shook her head. Ragatha frowned for a moment, but quickly dropped it in favor of a soft smile.
That's okay. You don't need to share anything if you don't want to. I just wanted to make sure that everything was all right.
Pomni felt herself continue to just stare ahead. She was still dreaming. She must have been mad. Ragatha sat on the edge of the bed with Pomni, taking in the silence with her. It was nice. No exits, no doors, no endless hallways, no actions needed to be taken, no actions expected. She surprised herself when her voice started speaking, barely audible to the point of cracking.
It was that place.
Ragatha looked over.
What place, Pomni?
She took a long moment, surprising herself with speech once again.
Endless doors with exit signs. Every single one just another hallway with another door at the end of it.
Oh, that sounds awful, but you're awake now.
Pomni cut off whatever words of positivity Ragatha seemed intent on spouting. She felt bad about it, but she wasn't honestly sure she wanted to hear those words right now.
And at the end of it, that computer that I know somehow. I know it, Ragatha.
Ragatha looked really concerned again. She didn't know how to feel about that. It made her feel warm inside, but also it sent feelings of inadequacy down her spine as well.
Pomni.
It's right there! I know it's right!
Pomni.
She kept going, intent on figuring out what she had to say. Pomni needed to say something. She just wasn't sure what yet.
I'm so close to...
Ragatha grabbed her shoulders and turned Pomni forcibly to look at her.
Pomni!
Pomni shut her mouth.
I know it's hard, but there's no way out of here. Trust me. You'll drive yourself mad trying to find it, and I can't watch someone else do that to themselves again. Please.
She felt herself distantly nod. Ragatha frowned.
It'll be all right. It'll be all right. We've had a rough time for the first couple weeks. It takes a little bit to adjust. But this is your home now. Forever. It's not an easy transition, but it's one you'll have to make. You saw what?
She looked away for a moment, turning back with a smile.
We're in this together now, and we'll be all right together, mentally healthy and stimulated.
Pomni couldn't help the tears. She wasn't even sure why she was crying this time. The emotions didn't really come from a place she could recognize. Ragatha's words, while not wrong, felt dismissive, but she couldn't argue against it. She'd seen what happened to Kaufmo with her own eyes. The pain he and everybody he touched went through. The feelings of discontent, discomfort, of the nagging suspicions, and of the memories and emotions, always just outside her conscious mind. Was the only option really just to ignore them? Was that the only way to survive this place? Was that it? Ragatha laid back down on the bed, both aware neither needed to sleep more, or at all.
Try going back to bed. I'm here for you, Pomni. I won't leave without you. I promise.
She distantly nodded again, lying down and staring at the ceiling of a room made out of fabric. She stared at the ceiling, trying not to think of madness. But Pomni was already mad, wasn't she? And that is it for this multi-voice podfic. Ooh, that was, I enjoyed this podfic. I have never read anything for the Amazing Digital Circus like fic before. So this was my first time reading and podficking for this fandom, and it was such a great opportunity to do this with Dr. Oryx. As of now, I'm just like recording my stuff. I haven't like edited anything together with their lines or anything, so I don't know how this will turn out as of now, but I am so excited to put it all together. This was such a fun fic and a great opportunity to do another multi-voice. And oh boy, this chapter, the start of this chapter, the first paragraph is literally just the same like line over and over, and it's just like, okay, if I read this normally, this will take like minutes, and it was my first take. I was just going through and I'm like, okay, let's just keep going. Start going faster. This fic has such lovely insanity. I love the insanity. It is lovely. I hope everyone had fun going insane together. Yeah, that is the end of this podfic. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure to go in the description, find the original work, give the author a kudos, a comment, whatever you can. I am sure they appreciate it. Anyway, that is all for this time, and I will see you guys next time.